Hey, we're back in my garage, and today I'm changing out the fuel water separators on the old Evinrude back there with the lid off. And here you see the contents of the onboard primary fuel water separator. There's the old fuel filter, and there is the technically old fuel. It's fresh fuel. There is no water separation, no phase separation. It's very clean. There's a few particles at the bottom here. It would be probably really hard for you to zoom in and even see them. It's hard for me to see them with the naked eye, but anyways, that's good. I will make one comment. Ever since I bought this boat in 2017, I only use ethanol-free gas. There's just, in my opinion, not enough history with ethanol and what it does with boats. I know they're safe, but frankly, sometimes you leave your boat sit up for a long time over the winter, or something happens at home. Like right now, I'm actually in the middle of a bathroom renovation project, and you don't get to use your boat as much as usual. And when that ethanol sits, it eats away at gum, it causes gumming and eats away at fuel lines. I've seen it. I don't think it happens to everybody. My last boat, I used the E10 or whatever, had no problems, knock on wood. But I didn't want to take any chances with this new boat. It's not much more of an expense for me, so that's what I'm doing. So that fuel filter is off. It's down there in the build, as you can see right there. Here's the new fuel filter. You can see that I've dated it so that next time I go to change it, I know, or next time I think about changing it, I know how old it is. And then we also have the on-board, or on-motor, if you will, fuel water separator. Again, same thing. It is a genuine Evinrude part. I recommend that. It's probably not much more. I didn't even price the Sierras or whatever the other brand is. But anyway, dated it, and I'm going to replace that here and check its contents. But frankly, if that filter is clean, this one's almost guaranteed to be clean. There are also two metal prongs that come down from the housing into the water separator to detect water somehow with the electrical content. I don't even know how it works. But anyway, when it detects water, alarm goes off, you know you got fuel in your water. My boat, as you can see, is garage kept. I don't leave it out, and I use ethanol free only. It probably contributes to me not having water in my fuel, so that's a good thing. But anyway, it's part of the 3-year service. I only have 106 hours. Let me share the process real quick that I did for my boat. After I disconnected the negative battery terminal, I opened up the fuel vent cap because it's one of those that's vented underneath the cap. So there's some pressure in there. Made a noise, let out the pressure, closed the cap back. Obviously with the negative detached, no risk of sparks there. You probably hear the fan running in the background. Make sure it's plenty ventilated. And then I got the fuel water separator out of the bilge first, and then the one off of the boat second. Again, just thinking of pressure and working backwards. Don't want to minimize my fuel spill. All right, so I'm gonna take a couple rags and stuff them down in here. You're inevitably gonna have some leakage. By the way, I did connect the negative terminal on the battery just to prevent any electrical issues. But anyway, one rag down in there so that nothing really, I don't want it to smell like fuel. I don't want it to leak too much. Second rag, and then filter wrench. I needed it on the other one, so I imagine we're gonna need on this one. So I'm gonna go lefty-loosey. And that bracket looks like plastic. It's moving very easily. Tell you what, let's give it a try. Maybe not. Just wanna do it carefully so I don't break that bracket. It's like I'm pulling and turning at the same time to try to keep that bracket stationary. Darn it. Again, just trying to be real careful with this. There's a oil distribution, or maybe it's a fuel distribution line there, and definitely want to make sure I'm not pinching that as I grab and turn. There starting there. All right, should be able to get it with my hands now. Whew, that's nerve-wracking. Yes, first time I've done it, so maybe it's not going to break. Maybe that thing's got more flex than I'm giving it credit, but I certainly don't want to take any chances. During COVID now, you know, a lot of boat shops, marine shops are shut down or reduced staff or limited hours, and it is the summertime. I think it's filling up. I can't get it out because of my rags here. And so I do not want to have to risk a trip to the shop or even to order parts. And if you're watching this, maybe you're in the boating community, you know that Evinrude has actually said they're going to stop making Etec engines. They say they're still going to supply parts. Ooh, that thing is filled with a brim. You can see it wavering there in the video. Anyway, they're still going to do supply parts, even though they're not building Etec engines anymore. But this has been a great motor. I don't want to risk anything breaking with it, but you've got to do maintenance. You've got to change out your filters. So, cheers. All right, so here's both filters emptied. Here's the onboard one. You can see a little bit of surface rust around the edges. Good thing we changed that one. The on motor, man, that thing looks pristine. I probably could have left it, but I don't know, was it 10, 12 bucks? Even if it's 20 bucks, it's worth the peace of mind knowing you got a brand new one in there. And certainly once you scratch them up with a filter wrench, that's where rust can occur. So don't even chance putting that back on. It's not worth the hassle. Here are the contents of the on motor fuel water separator. C-17 flying overhead. Sorry about that. Happens when you live near an airbase. So again, the contents look really good. There's a very minor particulate at the bottom. No water separation, and that'll be going in the lawnmower. All right, so working in reverse order. Got my bottle of XD100. This is the synthetic motor oil I use. Tip it upside down to just get a little bit of oil in the cap. There you go. Use my finger on that. I've already pre-filled this filter, about 50% with fresh ethanol gas. So again, just putting a little coat of oil on the rubber gasket here. It's just me, or does XD100 smell like fish? It's really gross. But anyway, putting this back on, be careful to make sure you get those two metal prongs inside the hole. Try not to disturb them any more than you possibly have to. There we go. See, there we go. There we go. Important not to cross thread. Make sure it's on there flush. And again, I think I said the fuel is about 50% full in that filter. The fuel pumps should fill it up the rest of the way. I feel like I'm cross-threading. Bite. It's biting, but it's not biting right. There it goes. Alright, so I just kind of put my finger under there to keep it level and then start spinning. It should spin very easily. You should not have to spin this hard. There, it's starting to touch. I'm not putting a wrench on this, as I said in another segment of the video. If you scratch that paint on there, it's a potential source of rusting. You've now exposed metal. So I've gone about a half turn there since touching, and it's on. And I can see the date here. I wrote the date 2 times could always write the date after you're done so you know when you replaced it, 6/23/20. So I know that that filter is on and good. All right, now you're gonna see me put the 50% full of fuel on boat fuel filter back in. Oil the gasket already with XD100. Carefully lower the fin. And it's going on. One comment about my boat, so it's a Tidewater 1910, the transom is slanted back. So it's hard to tell from the camera angle right now, but I have actually lowered the tongue of the trailer all the way to the wheel to try to get this filter at 90 degrees as much as possible to minimize spilling into the bilge. There ain't nothing worse than a bilge that smells like fuel. So anyway, it's not 90 degrees, but it's close. 80, maybe 85 even. No, maybe not that close, 75, 80. I did have a little bit of spillage, but some Dawn dish detergent and some water will help clean that up. Anyways, I've contacted gasket, so per the service manual, I'm gonna go about a 3/4 turn just with my hand to get this on all the way. And again, if your fuel water separators in your bilge like mine, it'd probably be very challenging to write on it after the fact. So I've pre-written the date that I changed this. Just make sure your hands are free from fuel, because gassy hands will take the marker off. Here, let's see if we can get a look in there. Here's my bilge, and there's my fuel water separator. New and ready for another year at least, maybe another 100 hours, who knows. The final step, because again my fuel filters were only 50% full, I'm going to just prime the bulb and just make sure it gets the fuel through the system. But the VST vapor separation tank will purge any air in the system once I'm out on the water and ready to start running it. So prime the bulb, get it tight, let it sit, take it out for a ride. When you turn the key on an Evinrude, you hear something, a noise in the motor for about 8 seconds, 8 to 10 seconds. From what I understand, that's the fuel lift pump, and that's pulling the fuel into the engine. So let that run for 8 to 10 seconds. You can even key off and then do it a second or third time if necessary, and then fire it up. And hopefully, if everything's working good, your motor will fire up and you'll be good.